My name's Tom Rogers. If you're watching this video, you were probably at the Project Engineering Academy where we talked about teamwork. And this is a little video recording where we're going to do something that we didn't have time really to do there, is to talk about one aspect, a tool that's called robust dialogue. So real quick, let's just go back and look at a reminder of the 5 functions of a team that we talked about. Starts with trust. Built on that trust, people are able to have some conflict that is, in fact, honest, it's candid, but at the same time it's respectful. And then out of that, they're able to come to a decision, make a commitment, hold each other accountable, and then you get those great results. That's what you're looking for, those fabulous results at the top of that pyramid. The thing we want to look at today is that level on conflict. Teams that are really good, that get the fabulous results that pyramid shows, those are ones that are, well, the people on those teams are passionate. They have a robust conversation challenging each other. And if it's not right, I name that. We ask hard questions. We push to get, through conflict, better information so that those commitments, the decisions, can be better yet. Now that's what the great teams do. Now having said that, I just know that there are people who say, oh, but I don't like conflict. There's so many people. We just hate conflict, and for good reasons sometimes, fair enough. You maybe had some conflict that you got hurt personally. Or maybe conflict messed up a relationship at work or some other place in your life. I mean, there's bad conflict, and people that are upset about that, that's legitimate. But what we're really talking about here there are different kinds of conflict. So what I want to do, this robust dialogue, is going to look at 4 different kinds. I'm going to use an example here. I'm going to suggest that we look at something that's not necessarily a team meeting, but to be able to see how conflict would play out. So let's assume that you and I are going to have lunch, and I get to the cafeteria before you do. I'm sitting there. It's a nice day outside. It's a little cold, but there's a window next to the table, so I raise the window up a little bit. I've already got my food. I'm kind of just enjoying it. The air's coming in. It's good. I'm looking forward to you coming. And then you walk in. And when you walk in, you sit down, but almost right away, you get up and you walk over and you shut the window. Well, here's one way that I could handle that situation. I could say nothing. I could totally avoid conflict. And, after all, I don't want to mess up our lunch. People could walk by and say, looks like they're having a great lunch. In fact, there would be the illusion of harmony. It looks like we're getting along. But what's really also happening is that I might still have some conflict, just not with you. I'd go back to the office and I'd say, can you believe what they did? I'm just sitting there and they just shut the window. Did they ask me? No. Well, the arrogance of that. You've seen this happen, right? That's one kind of way that could play out. Here's another one. I could maybe say something, that there'd be careful conflict, but it'd be careful conflict. So that could be the kind of thing where you get up finally, you shut the window, and I say, you don't want the window open? And you say, no, I don't. Oh, no, it's fine, just asking. So, okay, at least I brought it up, but what's going on here? In this case, I've got more concern over us getting along, harmony, than me telling you that I really wanted some fresh air. That this is a situation where I'm holding back. I'm not fully giving you all the information that you could have. A third way that this could work out. Let's say that, we'll call this one destructive conflict, that you sit down, you get up, you shut the window. It's the same scenario up to this point, but then I get up and I open the window again. I say, I want it open. And you get up and you shut it. So I want it shut. So I open it, you shut it, we're back and forth until finally I say, you shut that window one more time, I'm going to make sure it stays open, I'm going to throw you through it. I can't actually see myself doing that, but we've seen people do things like that in conflict, right? They get mad, they get angry. And so in this case, I want you to know what I feel about that need for the window to be open. The truth is more important than the harmony. And so you've got, what would we just have there? I'm making an assertion, you're making an assertion back. And the relationship probably not going to be all that great as a result of having done that. One last scenario. We'll call this one creative conflict. That you sit down, you get up, you shut the window again, and I ask, don't you want the window open? You go, no. And I say, why? And you say, I just don't. And I go, well, I'd like to have it open because I'd really like some fresh air. Don't you want any fresh air? And you might say, well, it'd be okay, but when it's open, there's a cold draft on my feet. So what do we got now? Now we've got some new information by having had a little conversation, a little conflict. I pushed back, and who knows, maybe we'd say, well, if you want the fresh air, I want the fresh air, clearly. We could shut this window, take care of the draft over at that other table, nobody's there. We could open that window. We could still there might be ways to get better decisions if we had a little conflict. Now let's take that kind of silly example, but apply it to your team where it's not silly at all. So back to first of all, what's going on here? We should analyze the creative conflict. I didn't do that yet. Truth and respect, those aren't fighting each other, it's the same thing. And I was asking, not horribly tough questions, but I was pushing back a little bit, but at the same way I tried to do it in a way that everybody's dignity gets preserved. So we take it to the team. We've got the pyramid, you've got that conflict level here. Let's see how the 4 examples that we just used could fit into a team situation. So if we look at this 2x2, got to have a 2x2 or it's not training, right? So if you look at the vertical axis, here you've got the respect for others. From left to right, the further you go to the right, the more you're willing to be honest, that you'll be willing to be candid. On the left going up, or anywhere on the thing going up, means that you really care about the person. Further to the right, you care about the truth, and you're willing to state that. So where was the first example? Well, I'd suggest it's down there in the lower left. That I really didn't want to speak the truth, but you might say, but hey, why are you talking about low? Wouldn't this be high? Because actually, you were being very careful about me. You didn't want to get me upset. Well, at first glance, it might look that way, but go back to the pyramid. If we don't have some conflict, it's going to finally limit the results. And in a sense, that's really not caring about you, because I ultimately want you to have positive results as well. So what at first glance looks like it's about them, that bottom left-hand corner for avoiding conflict, which happens a lot in teams, that's really self-centered. The second one, where would that go? I'm suggesting to be in the upper left, that careful conflict. Harmony was more important than the truth. Where would the destructive one go? Lower right. Very candid, but not a high concern for the other person there. And again, think about it with the chart. When you destroy things, we're also destroying that foundational part of the team building itself, the idea of building the trust. So going back, the last one, which maybe you're beginning to see was probably the best one for us, to have that really healthy, robust dialogue, is when you've got creative conflict that speaks the truth, but it also does so with a sense of respect. So this is the diagram, and you'll find this on the portal. You could print that out. What I'd suggest you do is at your next team meeting, maybe you take a moment and you just don't show them this yet. Start out by just saying, okay guys, how do you think we do in terms of conflict? You can show them the chart and say it's one of the pieces here. How do you think we do with that? And you might, instead of just ask it in a general sort of way, maybe you'd want to say, like, when we did a conversation about X, give them a concrete example where there was some conflict. How do you think we did? And maybe write on the board, harmony and truth. How did we deal with those two? Now, I don't want to have you give them the labels too soon, but see if there can be, and maybe you can't agree, maybe you'll have some conflict over what kind of conflict you have, but once you've got that up, then show them this chart, the chart that we just had looked at, to be able to, in fact, say, where are we on that chart? And if you can agree, then you notice that you've got in the far bottom, it's red. That's stopping you from getting to the really great results that you want to have. If you're in one of those yellow sections, that's slowing you down. What you really want to be at is in that upper right hand where you can speak the truth, have robust dialogue about it, but do it in a way that people feel like they haven't just been shattered by it. And I would suggest that if in fact we do that, if you do that, I should say, that you could agree as a team to commit to say that's the kind of thing that we're going to do in terms of conflict. And then down the road, still looking at our pyramid, you hold each other accountable, and I can almost guarantee if you use robust dialogue in the way that we've talked about it, you can expect some fabulous results. I wish you well with this.